What a wonderful part of street design steps are, leading up, down, in, out, round and round, and are a great resource for the street photographer. They provide movement and structure in scenes, and most importantly, they deliver people to the places you might want them to be. There are many ways they can be used to help build impressive looking street pictures. I like to work with them when the light creates quite abstract shapes and picks out isolated areas, when the area around the steps is quite well defined and they become a strong graphic element. Layers are provided by shooting from overhead. The stairs appear at slightly odd angles to each other, which creates a little energy and prevents the image from being too static. Sometimes, just the slightest tilt or turn of the camera can strengthen a picture, giving it more energy. Vertical lines help to break this image up, creating 4 different sections. Squashing the descending figure into a narrow space adds some drama as we can't see where he is heading. In Henri Cartier-Bresson's image, shooting from on high with a slow shutter speed gives this scene some energy, and although it has been suggested that Cartier-Bresson asked his friend to whiz round the bend a few times on his bicycle until he got the shot he really wanted, it's still a great picture. Harold Feinstein's moody image of people descending the stairs to a subway, captured in 1970, is a great example of shooting upwards in these situations. The strong light and deep shadow play out to great effect, and the image is made more striking due to the light revealing the character's face at the bottom of the stairs. Feinstein was a really interesting photographer. You should check out his work. From a similar perspective, Ray Metzger lets the deep shadow dominate, but the strong light coming in is enough to highlight the silhouetted figures at the top. Conversely, shooting downwards can have a dramatic effect and can have a quite abstract feel as you play around with the perspective. The graphic appearance of lines and patterns can be used creatively to produce images that challenge the viewer about what they are looking at. Sometimes waiting for people to walk off or away from the steps can give the image more depth and leave the steps themselves as a purely graphic detail. If you're shooting in high contrast conditions, then the lines of light catching the steps in deep shadow will become a simple geometric detail or decoration. I'm always on the lookout for the way the light and shade interact with steps, and I'm always happy to go full on abstract in order to find ways to use them differently. I love what Ray Metzger has done here with this chaotic display of light, shade and pattern. The horizontal ladder across the image is easy to make out, and it gives us perspective, and it's a nice counterpoint to all the vertical geometry elsewhere. Fan Ho uses the early morning light to bathe the people on and around the steps in this shot. They're a good backdrop and give the image depth as the figures appear at various heights, adding movement. Another example of this is his shot taken beneath street level. Our eyes are taken up to the 2 still figures talking to each other at the top of the steps on either side of the handrail. A nice counterpoint to the moving figures elsewhere in the scene. A brilliant picture. From the same perspective, but with a completely different mood, comes a shot from Stefan Lubomirski de Vaux, who captures these kids energetically playing around on the steps in a way that many of us can recall from our younger days. Again, the blurred movement adds energy and interest to the scene. Talking more abstractly, in this shot I was interested in using people's shadows rather than their actual selves descending the stairs. I like the idea of using the shape of the shadow as a contrast to all the geometry going on. It also suggests the stairs themselves, which are hidden from view. This was taken at the exit of an underground station, and instead of an ordinary shot of a man walking out to the street, it becomes something a little more dramatic. You can change or create an atmosphere in an image by adopting a more creative approach to your viewpoint. This is from the Hungarian photographer Brassai, and is quite different to much of his work, which centred around the nightlife and characters from 1930s Paris. I love how he's used the light and shade to emphasise the graphic nature of the scene. Lucien Hervé too has maximised the effect of looking down into a scene, built from light, shade and geometry. The black bird on the right hand side of the image is a nice detail. I like how the human element can provide a contrast in shape to the surrounding geometry when shooting with steps. Try to choose your moment carefully and capture people animatedly or in poses that complement their environment. Using steps and stairways in pictures is a great way to think more creatively about your street photography. By playing around with perspective and lines of sight, you will be surprised at just how much they can help in producing striking street pictures. Try it out, you won't be disappointed. Check out my book Fine Art Street Photography for tons more tips and tricks for shooting in the urban environment. The link to the book is in the description to the video below.